with Woodrow.
I'm not the chauffeur. I'm the grandfather. Where are you?
Asteroid City, Farm Route 6, mile 75.
Junior stargazers and space cadets. Each year we celebrate Asteroid Day, commemorating September 23rd, 3007 BC, when the arid plains meteorite made Earth impact.
Holy Toledo, that's Mitch Campbell.
You were very good in the one about the tramp in the brothel who gets amnesia and becomes a pediatrician. You were very awesome.
Actually, maybe my favorite character I've ever
I don't know why nobody else liked it.
Oh.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Ready Speaker. I am your host, Roland DeRucci. I fumbled that a little bit, but that's okay. That's all right, because we record like it's live, and that's it. So I fumbled a little bit, but I am your host, and this is Ready Speaker. And I have my guest, once again, Nick Leshi, who is coming to us all the way from the Bronx, and I am all the way on Staten Island. So he is the northernmost part of New York City. I am the southernmost part of New York City, and there's a lot of mess and heat in between because it's a summer month. So today we're going to be talking about the movie Asteroid City, which you just saw a little clip or a trailer, whatever I put in front of this, which I thought was fit, and that's by Wes Anderson. A couple little details about it. Let's see where we go. It's rated 6.8 stars on IMDb right now. Let's see. I'm just going to go through the people in the notes here. Wes Anderson is the director. He is the writer with Roman Coppola, and I think Roman is the brother of Jason Schwartzman. He's a Coppola kid. No, it was Nick Cage's brother. He's one of the brothers.
Yeah,
he's a brother of one of the
Francis Ford Coppola's son.
Is his son? Yeah, I don't know if his nephew or his son.
The Coppola family is pretty big.
Yeah, they make wine, they make movies. They're kind of huge.
Very good wine, actually.
I've heard their wine is good. I think he makes more money from his wine.
As a gift one day, and people know I like movies, and it was actually pretty good. I was impressed. You were thinking, okay, he just slapped his name on any.
No, he's a real vineyard. He's been doing it a long time. I think he actually makes more money from his wine than some of his movies. He says that occasionally, like his movies.
He's at that stage now. He just
right. So he's been investing more in wine, and he gets his residuals. And let's see with the cast. And how long was this film? I don't remember how long it was. It felt
under
a little
2 hours, but almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost 2 hours, right? And we got the cast here. If I can just get to the casting, my God, this thing is like killing me.
It's a long list of people.
It's a long list of people. So you have Jason Schwartzman, who is a Coppola also.
Okay.
He is a Coppola, I believe. Yeah. Not on the Schwartzman side.
And he's been in, the Wes Anderson.
Yeah, he's like he's like the good luck charm of that movie. Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, who does a lot of crazy stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah, he's a wonderful actor. Bryan Cranston doing Bryan Cranston. Ed Norton is also seems Wes Anderson is a fanboy of Edward Norton. He's in a lot of his stuff. We have Jake Ryan, a young actor. Grace Edwards, Maya Hawke, Rupert Friend, Hope Davis, Steve Parr. There's a lot of people in this. It is Liev Schreiber. There's a whole bunch of. I mean, there's so many. Sophie Lillis. She was in Stranger Things. Not Stranger Things. It. She was the discovery from. She was great in it, and then you have a bunch of little kids and stuff like that. So synopsis is the kids were pretty good. Yeah, I think we only got issues with that. Synopsis is there's a city called Asteroid City where an asteroid landed. Whenever they made it a tourist attraction, the Schwartzman family, what is his last name, is Steenbeck, are going to Jason Schwartzman's Augie Steenbeck. Is taking his 4 children to be with their grandfather. His wife recently passed away, so this is his trauma that they're going through, and they get stuck there. Their car blows up. Matt Dillon is in this as well. So I know Matt Damon should be in it because he's in every movie there is. So he's probably
little cameos. Steve Carell. Jeff Goldblum has a great cameo.
Yeah, he has a good cameo in it. Really. Margot Robbie, whatever she's.
I like Margot Robbie's.
Well, we'll talk about that. Let's get there. So this is the. I mean, that's the premise. It's a weird little thing. It's as unusual.
Play, right?
Yeah, it's a play within a play. Literally a play within a play, where they're describing the playwright telling the story.
Yeah, play within a.
And it sort of plays out in film mode, which is kind of interesting. I did appreciate that. Well, let me give me your take on it.
I have friends who love Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is their favorite filmmaker. I can't say that I enjoyed this film in the sense of I would recommend it to anybody or see it again.
Okay.
But there was a lot that I loved about it. there's that line where one of the characters is like, I don't think I understand the play. I think.
Right.
And I think that's how I felt. I was like, but the big pet peeve that I had was the performances seemed so monotone, and that's the Wes Anderson style. You know, like,
yeah.
And I just felt like he just told them, he's like, just read the lines, just stand there, don't emote too much, and just read the lines.
I
and
think
for some of them it worked. For some parts, you know, because it's about grief and it's about being world weary and it's about, you know,
that didn't come across though. That didn't come across at all. World weary did not come across.
Yeah, on film, it just doesn't, you know.
I'll tell you, the only person I think...
There was a close-up of Scarlett Johansson, I think.
Yeah.
And again, she seemed to be delivering her line that same monotone, but it worked for me because, like, I guess the medium of film sometimes works with those close-ups and the subtlety. But when you're doing these wide shots, like theater, you can't do monotone. You can't.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I don't know. And that might just be me. You know, the folks who love Wes Anderson are like, Nick, you're missing the whole point, which may be the case. But
I don't think you are. I think there is something lacking in this film. I think it feels a little repetitive of the other things he's done. And I was looking at his list of films, and it reminded me a lot of what was that film with the kids in it? Isle of Dogs, which I liked. I liked that film a lot, actually. I like his and Norton was in that too. And I think it reminded me of the tempo of that, reminded me a lot of that. But I think he sort of dug his heels into the story and sort of repeated a lot of those that tempo and that rhythm from that film. I agree with you on how the delivery doesn't work when things are happening around them, and the reaction is so stifled and so controlled that it's not really a reaction to me. I think the only person, and the grief line, I get that too, because there's grief and sadness and loss and all this stuff and confusion and teenage angst, which I think he loves playing with. I don't know if he did a great job with that either. I think the only person that really delivered for me, a major character in this, was Tom Hanks. So I think he knows how to internalize the grief with his voice. So there's levels to his voice, even though it's monotone. It was his pacing and delivery, how he stepped into it. He sort of lived it for a moment, you know, and it was straight up. And even with the monotone thing, it almost felt like they were reading the lines without somebody else giving them lines. It's like, you know, on set, you'll have somebody feeding you lines off camera, and, you know, they do that 2-shot, whatever. And so you can have the right tempo. It almost felt like nothing like that was in place for most of these people. And I will say, I know Jason Schwartzman is like his go-to guy. It felt like he was doing the Steve Carell, who's in it also, almost like a Steve Carell impersonation. And I was getting confused, like with the character almost. When Steve Carell walked on set, I'm like, wait, isn't he already in the scene? Because it was just, and the things that threw me off too, he does some visual cues that really threw me off of changing of there was some visual cues in there when changing the scenes and the ratio of what was seen. And that threw me off a lot. It took me out of it.
It seemed like he was doing the theater stuff had that square like TV, right?
Right.
And then when he was on the set, which was very stylized, you know, almost this kind of retro futuristic look.
It was like, I almost felt like they visited the city of cars.
Yeah.
That's visually, that's what I got. Widescreen.
But also very saturated, like the colors weren't like vivid. They were kind of like, almost like desert, like, you know, like a kind of like, if you left something, a painting out there for a while and the sun kind of made it fade a little bit.
It made it almost feel like Play-Doh claymation colors for me, where things were popping. And even the train, they have this long train scene. I felt like, okay, that's got to be like a miniature, because you want to do like, you know, real animation, no CGI or something like that. And they have an alien that comes in.
Beautiful to look at and very creative.
I think, I think looking wise, you could take a clip and go, beautiful shot. I think almost everything could be a poster. I think almost, and even I'm looking at stills now on IMDb, I would say almost every shot could be a poster of this film. Was it Scarlett Johansson? To me, she's playing like Judy Garland, sort of.
I got that vibe.
And, you know, that vibe with the hair and everything, but just no real, you know, depth beyond that.
Except for her close-up. I thought the
close-up was great. Really well. I will tell you, Adrian Brody's in there, I forgot. And he plays sort of like the same guy that he's been playing a lot, like this hunchback sort of like visceral like guy who does a lot of this. You know, listen, guys, you know, and it was like there's a story underneath that too. And I think that's overwhelming. My favorite scene is Margot Robbie, her one scene with her monologue. I think everybody should use that monologue. Yeah, it was a beautifully written monologue.
Yeah.
That was, to me, honestly, there's abandonment, there's all this kind of stuff in it, but that was the most impactful scene for me.
She
Was that
plays
the late
it's
wife,
the
actress
who is
who plays
supposed
supposed
to
to be
be,
late.
and it's supposed to be the cut scene that they
Yeah,
make it into.
right. And it's so
It
beautifully
felt,
delivered by
yeah.
her.
And
Yeah, that
that's the
was
kind of stuff that I found interesting as, as an actor and a writer,
yeah.
how he's playing with that kind of stuff. And it's all about grief and these characters,
No, but it just
but
doesn't
in the end, I'm
land.
like, I don't get it.
And
Like, I don't get it.
I do. I watched a movie called Destination Wedding with Keanu Reeves a few years back, and it's also very monotone like this. And the way I think it's actually a really good movie. I think it's a brilliant film. It's Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, and they meet at a destination wedding, and everything sort of goes off the rails. But they're the only two people who speak in the whole movie. I don't know if you get a chance to watch it, but you should watch it.
Okay.
And the way it makes sense to me is that it's their internal voice speaking, not what they're saying to each other. It's what they're feeling inside and what they want to say, but they can't say it. So you're only seeing and hearing that internal voice, which sort of is speaking at each other. And I felt the same way with this film, that a lot of the dialogue was just internal voice. It's what they're feeling and not really what they're saying to each other. Something else is being said in the real world, but what they're trying to say is all subtext, but that's what they're verbalizing in the film. And I felt like that's what I was seeing in this film, that it wasn't a real arc. I really don't feel any character besides Margot Robbie delivering that sweet, sweet moment has an arc in this. I really feel like there's a lack of arc at all. I don't think besides a boyfriend for the kids, and he does that thing too, whereas these kids were sort of awkward and running about a girl, and he did that in what is it, the hotel, Budapest Hotel? He did that as well, the infatuation of a girl at a certain age, and that kid's in this too. So, and he seems to love boys with like large noses. I have no idea why, but he loves casting boys.
He should cast me. I'm
like, what was happening? I'll do this. He seems to cast people with large noses. He has a very, very fine. For some reason,
in terms of character arcs, like Midge, played by Scarlett Johansson, I mentioned World Weary before because I get that sense. She's this like famous actress, I guess, the star. And I feel like she's had a tough life, or like she's not happy with the path of her life. So I kind of felt that arc when she started falling in love with Augie, and but I don't know if it ended in a place.
I know,
that.
Well, we were talking about
Tom Hanks's character, the dad.
Yeah,
the dad
but
that
just
passed away.
I don't feel that's an arc. I feel that's like he just admitted the situation. I don't know if that was an arc. I don't know if he grew or something changed for him. He just got, to me, his level of dialogue was just a frustration. When it comes to the Mitch Campbell character, I think we were talking about this right before about, how many films have the male gaze. And he like leaned into it a lot with this because he even like commented on it. And it's all like innuendo and stuff like that, looking through the window. And she says, "Hey, do you want me to rehearse my nude scene?" And he's like, I thought which was a total, 40-year-old virgin moment. I thought I said it. My mouth didn't say it, but I said it, yes. So I was like, oh my God. But I think that is such a male gaze moment. I think every actor, maybe not every actor, but most of the actors in here did a commendable job with what they had and the direction they had. Yeah. Is it one story? It takes place in the story. I don't know if it's one story. I don't know if it's a full story, in all honesty, to me. They had the alien bit, which was like claymation, which was very Tim Burton that happened. And
that's why the animation stuff, maybe this would have worked even better as an animated movie.
Maybe it almost felt like it should be that, because then the surrealism works and you can play with the tempo a little bit more. You're not relying on the physicality in delivery. And maybe that's what I'm missing too, is the physicality. The delivery wasn't there in the physicality. And I'm a little, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little tired of this pace. Like I said, Isle of Dogs I loved, also go through a whole bunch of the other movies. Was it Hotel?
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
At the Grand Budapest Hotel, I enjoyed. Fantastic.
Which was
right. So I mean, but is there more, to his storytelling than this? And I don't know. He does a movie like every 2-3 years. I feel people do it as a prestige film just to get in there and have some chops and have moments.
This seemed like in the trailer, it seemed like it would be one of his more accessible films.
Okay.
And when I went into it,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's gonna be another Wes Anderson. You know, all the things you could think about for Wes Anderson is that, which is great. If you're a Wes Anderson fan, this is like Nirvana. This is like
yeah. I mean, but if you always love cannolis, you only eat
mainstream
cannolis.
Audience, I think they're gonna be frustrated. They're gonna be like sitting there like.
Well, it left the big theaters real quick. It went on streaming right away. I saw it on. I had to rent
some of it could be the same script. I think if he just had his actors get away from that monotone, it might have connected more with me, you know?
Well, I'll tell you, I think I'll tell you why I think that can't work. Because the way the lines are structured, if you have any inflection in it, it's all sarcasm.
Maybe that's
it's all sarcasm.
I'm listening and I was getting the lines. I was understanding them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's beautifully written, but I'm like, why would this character just deliver it like that? Why would this character just sit there like they don't know what they're saying? They're just repeating lines of dialogue that they read or they're reading off a cue card.
Right.
You know, it's like, to me, I'm like, and maybe there's more to it because it's theater and it's about, you know, telling a story, and I'm not getting it. Maybe it's about grief and keeping your emotions.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if it's strong. I don't know if it went that deep with me.
I'm not smart enough to get a Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I don't know if it went that deep for me. I mean, I like I said, Tom Hanks, and to me, Tom Hanks is sort of, you know, I think he's a little bit played out with some of his roles. I didn't like the Otto film he did recently because he's sort of like this flustered older guy. And I get it.
He did well in this one. I thought he was.
I thought in this one I liked him. I liked him because I thought he was meant for that kind of role in this one, so I appreciated that. Jeffrey Wright, I think he's great as a general, but but also he's that character
for him. I thought.
Well, he did that in what was that, Westworld? You know, he had that sort of monotone delivery, and that's what he's in Cocaine Bear too, which I thought he did a great job in that. Yeah, I like that movie. Yeah, if you want, it's a good movie actually, Cocaine Bear. But he's really good in it. Everybody else, Jason Schwartzman, I think he's just got older and just doing Jason, and he's done this in almost all of his films, and I feel like I don't. And even the kid from the Grand Budapest Hotel, the bellhop in that, he essentially was the bellhop again. You know, he was just the assistant again, you know, to the general, and he was like, you know, like this, and doing the same like mechanisms that they had in that. He did the same thing again, and he just got another boy with a fairly large nose to repeat that character again, and just at 15, you know. So that's what I'm saying. I think it feels very, very repetitive. Even the stories in the background of the divorces and the marriage and breakups, and that's what it feels like is dealing with relationships more than anything else, of like breaking up, losing a partner, gaining a partner, how this person's kicked out, you know, when love fails but they still love. So I feel like that's the story in this. Even the alien, I'm not gonna do a spoiler, but when they do come and they show up, and it's a whole thing. But even that, I think, is a level of affection, you know, in some way. And I think that's what the story's talking about, is levels of affection and how people cope with that. And sometimes people just shut down. But like you're saying, you know, the delivery, and for me, the dialogue just gets way. It would read sarcastic. Like even the girls, and this is not a spoiler, but like the three daughters go to a diner, and she goes, "Hey, princesses, what do you have?" And like, "We're not a princess. I'm a witch, and I'm an alien." And they do this whole thing, and she's, "Okay, aren't you sweet?" You know, yeah. And but now, if you did that non-monotone, it's a big FU. You know,
I see.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh well, aren't you girls special? Let's get this over with. You know, because I just want to get out of here because this is annoying now. And even the kid thing, they were fine in it, the younger girls in it, but it was overload for me at points. It was like really overload with them. Like I get it, it's like a gaggle of kids, but when you have kids who just speak out like that constantly in the moment, to me, it's overwhelming to me, because I know it's there for effect, and it's not really there for moving a story or moving the moment forward. It's just effect, and that's why they're there. And he gave them like really weird names and stuff like that. So it's really just a pop and make you question. So I don't know if that delivers. Now, the older boy, he has a dalliance with a girl, and that's the awkward moments for all these kids, these scientists, and that's part of the story, which I'm not ruining anything. They have these big science projects, and they have like laser guns and everything. And that's why they're all in that town. Right. So, and I thought that was beautifully shot, the outside. But even that, it's, you know, sometimes it was very Woody Allen, that awkward. I almost feel like he's becoming the new Woody Allen. Make a movie every couple of years, have the same actors, Some people will jump on because they just want to be in this film. It'll probably be 3 days of Lee Schreiber probably did like 2 days if, you know, they got a trailer and everything and did it at rate. And he's just happy to do it, just to be there on set with everybody.
Bryan
Margot Robbie
Cranston
was
as the narrator, you know.
right. He
was
probably
great
did a week,
too,
maybe. Yeah,
you know.
but he's also just being who he is. That is his voice forever.
There's one laugh out loud moment that I had when he's the narrator for the play with the TV show of the play and then the movie. And there's one scene, something's happening on the screen, and he just pops his head.
Yeah.
He does the whole into the frame.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, am I supposed to be here?" Right.
And
right.
nobody else was laughing.
No, I got that too. I thought it was kind of funny, but
and again, it was like that was like slapstick, you know.
Right.
And
it's very vaudeville.
Yeah, and for him, Wes Anderson kind of is above that. Like, there's funny stuff in it, but you know, so it just kind of the tone. I was like, what's he going for? What is?
It was very weird to me. They even had they had a homoerotic segment in it, which is fine. I thought the way they played it was like so passionless. Mm-hmm. Yet that like the flags of the relationship were like way over, like everything visually around that moment was there, from like the paintings on the wall and everything. But it's so like, let me hit you over the head with a hammer, you know, about, you know, the attraction between these two gentlemen. But the dialogue was so lacking in flirtation in anything that I was like, you're just doing it just to do it.
Yeah, it seemed
like you're not good at it
when he drops his pants or whatever.
Yeah, like you're just not like really good at this.
It was again going for the laugh or going for the
right. It wasn't
so again. What was his point with that? You know,
I don't know.
I was getting the subtext, and I was like, okay, that's interesting.
I got it.
So,
but now you have the Mitch Campbell relationship, and that's flirting back and forth. I mean, she's just really good at that because she has a certain presence about her. It's not just her looks; it's her delivery and her voice, and how she can like just tilt her head and look at something. She has a very strong control of how her sensuality is perceived on the screen. You know, because she's has practice with it. People cast her as that, but she's learned to control it and make it so she has control over that environment. You know, and that worked well. With the Augie character, he's just enamored, which, you know, he's just a stumbling little boy like his son. His son's actually more mature than him when it comes to relationships. So even that's like an interesting thing, how they play it all. But the flirtation of that, I thought he was better at. I didn't think he needed to do the other one or do a better job of it. Not that I don't want to say he didn't need to do it. He should have done a better job of it because it was way too obvious with not even this their interaction, but like I said, even the set dressing, everything was over the top, like way over the top.
Yeah. You
know, and there's like misinformation, which was very like actually now you're thinking of it when you're saying theater, it was very vaudevillian. Mm-hmm. It's very Abbott and Costello of miscommunication, almost spit takes. You know, with how they're meeting, getting wrong. Like he thinks the actor that he comes in is into the military. No, I'm just in the play. I had to get it from costume. Yeah. He would have known. But he would have known. That's an Abbott and Costello bit. Yeah. You know, because he's a big playwright who knows all the actors and knows. And they said, "Oh, it's a soldier who's coming in to see you." Okay, let him in because he's a soldier. Yeah, and that. But it's like, well, that's like now it's vaudeville. It's literally is vaudeville in a modern sense. I just feel like he is. My son went to go see it, and his friend said, "Please, you got to come and see it." His friend loved it.
And so how old was his friend?
28.
Okay, and he loved it. And what about
he loved it? My son liked it. He goes, "It was different." He goes, "I didn't mind it, but I think a lot of it is one, Scarlett Johansson probably influenced their take, but I think it's also the colors, and it was different, and they could talk about it because most things are just handed to you nowadays. So I think that's what." You know, he enjoyed about it. We were going to discuss it afterwards. He didn't get a chance, but Emerson's 23 years old, so and he's not like he's been introduced to theater and all that stuff, so he's been exposed to all that stuff. But I think that's what I think people will take away from it if they do enjoy this film, is that you're being exposed to a thought-provoking piece.
For sure.
And maybe that's the intent of this.
Hopefully, they can get through the frustration moments that I kind of felt.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's obviously a brilliant filmmaker. He obviously has a great visual eye. He obviously has stories to tell. And it's one of those things where you see a movie by him, just like Tim Burton and some of these others, whether you love them or not, very much their style. You know that's a Wes Anderson movie, you know, which is good. But again, what's he trying to say with this film?
I don't know.
He's losing... I mean, if he's a storyteller, I think you're losing some of the mainstream. And not every movie needs to be mainstream. Don't get me wrong.
No, I don't think it does. But I think if you're going to have a style, you have to have something
yeah,
that
I
can be
just felt
reborn
like
constantly. You know, and I don't think this was reborn.
Performances really stuck me. You know, like
Yeah.
they,
There weren't even that many night scenes, were there? I don't
there was
remember
a
a lot
couple,
of
like especially when they were sitting
the
around
couple
waiting
because
for
he was using so much with the light and the popping of color that it just didn't he didn't want to approach even a night scene. And I know a lot of films don't have night scenes, but I feel like almost like the background, the color was a character as well in this film. Again, very much set dressing.
music
Design.
was great.
Yeah, and I think that's what fools you with the trailer. The music makes it feel like, okay, this could be fun. It could have a good tempo. I can whiz right past this, and it'll be a good 2 hours.
I laughed out loud, like I said, a bunch of times.
I just wish it was better. Yeah, I think it needed to get built out differently.
And then the subplots, you had the cowboy singers, right, and you had the school group coming in, and you had the scientist, and it's
a huge cast, huge cast. But I think that's also what hurt me too. It was too big. There's too many people to remember, and then they're gone.
The list that I wrote, you mentioned Adrian Brody, Willem Dafoe's in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Swinton.
Yeah.
We mentioned Steve Carell, who was awesome. Always loved.
But he's always doing Steve Carell, and he just did Steve Carell. It was really just, hey, Steve, just do Steve. And then he just walked in and he did Steve. I think Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, I think with what she was given, that's what she could do. And I feel she embodied Judy Garland the later years, with Child. But Ed Norton was just Ed Norton doing Ed Norton. He really didn't do anything else. This is his character that he's always done, except the relationship thing. But everybody else,
she was in Stranger Things, right? I think Maya Hawke.
She is. Yeah, that's Ethan Hawke's son.
Ethan Hawke's daughter.
Yeah.
Uma Thurman, right?
Yeah, Uma Thurman. Yeah, she's
she's
good. I think she's good. I think she plays well. But again, that was she had one of the most emotional segments of frustration. You could see her. She was playing with her voice, even in monotone, and her physicality to show her nervousness.
Yeah.
And again, I think that was not in with some of the other, and she's not a super main character, but she's definitely a character in it.
Yeah, the kids were good for what they had to work with.
Sophia Lillis, I think she's great in a lot of stuff. I just don't know why. Honestly, some of those kids, I'm like, between two scenes, I have no idea why they're there. Yeah, it's sort of it's just way too much.
The three girls, those are sisters. I didn't realize that until I checked the.
They're sisters.
They did look alike, and I was like, oh, they're really related.
Yeah, they are. They did look alike. Actually, I'm going through the cast now.
Sometimes it comes across as precocious, especially with kids when it's so stylized, because it feels like they're
but like I said, it's not really. It's not really.
Realistic. It's not supposed to be realistic. I know that.
I know that too.
It disconnects me,
Yeah, it pulled me out. It pulled me out a lot of times when they were doing something. I'm looking at the list now. The list is huge. For like a movie this on such a small set, the list is huge.
Yeah, Matt Dillon's mechanic. He was
mechanic. And that was it. And he's at the end, I think too. But I don't need characters to be in every part of a story. I don't need to have just like four people and just like run everything. So I don't like that either, where everybody's a genius, everybody's a scientist, everybody's an astronaut, and everybody's a cook. And like so they can do everything. People have their one moment, and let them have that moment, let them have that dialogue. I just didn't understand, like we're saying, like the rhythm of it was a little off for me. The rhythm of it, and it was almost trying to be stop motion, but with people. Yeah, and that's what it felt like. It really felt like it was like when the stop motion happened with the alien and the train. I think was that as well. As it was because it was jittery and moving around a little bit, and there's some other elements that really popped that felt like claymation, like animation. I think it might have been better at that point, and the tempo and the editing could have been different because then you can manipulate the figures as well.
I wish I had somebody like some of my friends who really love Wes Anderson here right now to just kind of tell me what they got out of the story, because I know the grief storyline really because we've all faced grief and loss and things like that.
Yeah.
So with the kids, like he's afraid to tell his kids, and then the kids, with the burial. I thought that was really interesting. And then the scene with Margot Robbie kind of really pulled at my
That
heartstrings.
that I
You know,
think is the
because of
best
that.
scene in the film.
You know,
I
and
honestly,
that's a scene that for whatever reason they decided not to
yeah,
include in the
yeah,
movie. You know,
yeah,
to play within the play, right?
yeah,
So even though it was the actress reading the lines,
yeah.
I was like touched. You know,
No, it was
so
that was
maybe
honestly,
there's something there, and I'm almost on the precipice of getting it. You know,
yeah,
and
but
I'm
it's
just
not
not.
delivering at that point. And yeah,
So
it's not. I don't think it delivered. I really don't think it delivered. Or like like you're saying, is delivering to an audience that's already built in, and they get it. They will get it. Maybe it's some sort of code, that they get. But I didn't feel the loss. I didn't feel the frustration. I didn't feel it with a lot of it. Just with Tom Hanks' character, and I felt it the most with him. I think and that's I think really on how he knows how to deliver lines and his physicality. And even though it's monotone, he has a certain way of
and he
speaking.
was underplaying it and doing the
Right,
monotone thing,
right.
but I was
But
getting
right,
the
it's
levels,
the way
like
he
you said.
speaks. He knows how to roll those words out
Right.
and pacing. And I think it's really good. Not everybody has that skill, or they lean into it too hard, which I think the Augie character was way too hard into that monotone.
There were those
Where
times I'm just picturing him with a pipe.
yeah,
There.
it's a
The visual,
caricature.
to me, I'm like, like usually you're sitting there, you're like, what is the character thinking at that moment? And I didn't get that. I was told to hold my pipe and just stare deeply into nothing.
Yeah, there's no little ticks. There's no little ticks. There's no
exactly.
Scarlett Johansson. I should use her name for the Midge Campbell. She had ticks. She had ticks. She had the way she dressed. The way she leaned into something, the way she sat. I think that was very intentional. I didn't get that with the Augie character. I didn't get the human ticks that we all evolve and have. I didn't feel he was a rounded character. Woodrow, his son, I felt was very two-dimensional, very flat, and a character I've seen before in multiple films of his. So I feel like he's just mining into that character as much as he can at that age, within like, give or take, a couple of years. But it's all that awkwardness, all that growth spurt that hasn't happened equally, and the nervousness and the girl being enamored with his kid, and that's it. Now he's got the girl, and he's committed now. So I don't know if that's the messaging, but I've seen it before, and you can do. A lot of directors have a rhythm. Scorsese, I know you love him. I don't love him always, but he has a rhythm and style of storytelling, and he sort of reinvents his story all the time. And sometimes it's really new and refreshing, even though he's reinventing his storytelling. It opens with the big, 60s Rolling Stones or something happening, and then just goes into like music, and it's sort of like he does a wall of sound around you, and he makes you feel like you're in the moment. And I think that's what makes him different in an auteur that has a style. He pulls you into his moment. I never felt I really got pulled into this moment except for a couple of times in this movie. I was fully aware I was sitting almost for this whole film. And I don't know if that's like the best, thing. I was fully aware. Granted, it's on my TV, but I don't have a small TV. I have a pretty big TV. It's like 65 inches. So if I'm sitting in the back of a big theater, it's about 65 inches. So I'll go with that. So it felt to me like I wasn't pulled into this world as much as I needed to. And I was just teased about how to get there. Like even the alien bit was more jokey than it was jokey. It was a jokey bit. And I've seen that like in cartoons. I've seen that. I almost felt like I was in the Heat Miser. And was that claymation with the Heat Miser? I almost felt like I was in there. I was in that moment. Like it literally flashed back. Maybe I'm no bastard. But it flashed back like right away. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God, we're in the claymation Heat Miser."
Animation in that part.
I like it.
When you find out Jeff Goldblum takes out,
he's playing them. It's a stage production, and I like that too. I think that's okay. That's okay. But I kind of wish this is the story. The story knows the audience, and we're talking probably way too long about this. The story that he's writing a play, and this movie is the imagination of that play. So once you have that play, I feel like it should have been in a film world. It should have been stylized more. It wasn't based on real events. It should have been a little bit more. It should have went the other direction, because when you write something, you hear voices. You imagine them soaring. You imagine them glowing. Doesn't matter if you can do it on the stage or not. As the writer, you imagine that. How you get there is something different. But when you write it, you see it perfect. It's pristine. It's exact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as the playwright, which is the play within a play, thinking of the story and arguing it, and he's having like a meet and greet with students and everything. And I've been to those. I'm sure you have too, where people discuss a play and go, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, very common thing. And I know that's what he's saying. Maybe he's telling the audience you're never going to get it. But I know when you write a play or any script or any story you write, it is fully formed in your imagination. It might not be pretty, it might not be the best story, but when you imagine it, it's formed. So I needed this to be a little bit more formed, I think, I'm trying to say. And there was like some jokey bits. And I like funny stuff. I don't like when it's just jokes for the sake of jokes. I like natural jokes when it just happens organically. And at least it feels that way. And that's maybe because I did comedy for so many years. And it felt forced. It felt like, okay, it's an FU bomb. So you just do it to get the laugh. And I felt like some of the stuff was like, it's gonna be funny when we see this. And they're just laughing at the edit suite. And they're going, bro, I'm telling you, it's gonna be funny. Wes, this will kill. But no one says no to Wes Anderson. Like no one says no to Woody Allen. No one ever told him you shouldn't have a girlfriend in a movie 40 years younger than you when that is creepy as fuck. No one ever told him that. Why? Because he's Woody Allen. You know, that's no one ever told him that. I think he's reached a point where he's Wes Anderson and no one's telling him this isn't working. Maybe that's the problem with this film.
And again, who am I to say it's not working? Because his core base loves it. I've been reading the reviews.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I know. I read the reviews. People love it. They go, another one, you know, but.
And, you know, like, again, it doesn't have to be mainstream, but.
Doesn't have to be. No.
I just think it's a misstep, the performances in that direction, because that comes from him. That's him.
No, that's him.
His actors to rein it in or to deliver it in a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, rather than saying, here are my lines.
Yeah.
Show me what you got.
You know?
You wonder how that would have played, and maybe it's a mistake then to go that way. Maybe he has the way he's doing it is this is the way to do it. And Wes Anderson fans will probably tell me after they see this, they'll be like, Nick, you're completely wrong. Here's what you missed, which I welcome.
Maybe
because
I welcome it, but I just feel
at the beginning I said I don't recommend it. I take that back. I want people to see it. I want people to like bring.
I think they should. Yeah. No, I wouldn't steer away from this. I wouldn't steer away from
retro futuristic thing. There's this TV series on Apple TV Plus called Hello Tomorrow.
Okay.
Which has a very retro futuristic feel to it. So you got like science fiction elements, but it's set in like the 50s and 60s. Yeah. But it grips me. Like the performances, it's not this monotone kind of. They're playing salespeople, so it's more like a Mad Men kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
Have a very stylized delivery of delivering lines, but it's got levels, like you said, and I felt like I like those characters. And here, I just felt like it was.
Like I love the poster. I love the poster. I'm looking at the poster right now. I love the poster. It's making me want to watch it.
Production design is great, And,
but I think that's where, and he does have a base audience, but I think he's catering to the base. And sometimes you have no F's to give. And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna make a movie every 2 years. I have a base. It will get distribution. It was in the theaters. 2 weeks later, it was out. I mean, it might be playing a couple.
The Rotten Tomatoes listing, or
it was IMDb was 6.8, which is
6.
fairly
8 out of 10.
That's a little high for a film like this. I thought
that's what I would give it.
Yeah.
6.8.
Okay. No, I'm saying it was rated pretty well, because usually films like this they get like really low ratings. They get like a 5.5. Yeah. So I was like, it was a little higher than I thought it would be. And there's some good elements to it. I think it's just like you're saying.
If people saw this on TV at home, streaming instead of on a big screen, because I really love the play of the different aspect ratios when it was the theater, when it was the big, out in the desert.
Yeah, it's doing all kinds of things
really
to
on
it.
The big screen.
It had the little claymation Roadrunner going through.
The Roadrunner at the end,
which is like that's actually the whole thing. It's in the whole film actually. You see it all over the place.
Yeah, right.
So and I kind of like that. I don't know. I don't know. I needed something to dig I needed to give a shit. And I only cared when the actress read that monologue on a fire escape. And it was just surreal that it was so dark. It was rainy. It wasn't bright. It was just, and she knew it word for word because it was her moment, and she got cut.
And it got cut.
Every
actor relates to
right. And that was like, and it got cut. And she knew it beautifully. There was no reason to cut it. But she knew it beautifully. And it was to me, that was the best monologue. I think any actress would kill to have a monologue to audition
And
for
that's
that.
where, they kept mentioning his wife who passed away, and you never get to see her.
Yeah.
And so even though you're seeing her through this actress that was supposed
Yeah.
to play her, right?
Yeah.
So it's very
and the
very
photo.
meta,
They had a photo
right?
of her.
Yeah, it's very meta,
No, it is.
So,
No, it is. It's layered.
but when you're hearing, the actress say those lines, like I said, you believe it, and you suddenly get a sense of this character.
There's a weight. Yeah, there's a weight there.
So
yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah, that was my, like I said, that scene is to me is the money scene.
Yeah, Margot Robbie can do no wrong for me, even in Babylon, which I hated.
I didn't like that movie at all. No, she's great. I felt well, I don't want to get onto that, but I just felt like she's used that accent so many times. I'm just tired of it. No. It's great. She does a great job of it, but I've seen it.
She was great in Barbie. She was great in I, Tonya. She was great in. So
I, Tonya is one of my favorite movies too. I love that movie. I thought it was a great movie. That was a great movie. So kudos to her. But yeah, I think. Well, I guess we're gonna leave it. I mean, I think we sort of agree and we sort of disagree, which is what the movie pretty much is: an agreement and a disagreement. I think he is leaning into his audience, his target audience. He's writing for them, and I think he needs to write maybe more for himself as a hungry director.
And maybe the writing isn't even the issue, because, like I said, I think what I saw, what probably was on the page, was probably great. Because
I'll tell you, I don't think so. I'll tell you why.
Skeptical about the direction and the choices that he made as a director for some of those performances. I think that's the only thing that pulled me out of it.
I'll tell you, I'll disagree with you on one point, because he wrote it. He knew those choices going in. So to me, he already conceived those choices when he wrote it. If it was somebody else's script, I would agree with you. But the fact that he wrote it, he knew his vision. He's not going to deviate from that vision.
That's true.
And this is just me, because we're spitballing, conversation here and ideas. I think it does have elements of insular, close knit group humor and tempo. Like, guys, wouldn't you think this is funny? It's almost like a script by committee, and I think maybe that's where it is for me. It feels like it's almost like committee where they research. I love playing that part. We didn't use it in that film. Let me use it in this film. I love doing that line. Forget it from that film. Let me put it in this film. And that's a trap you get caught into when you repeat with actors and you have a long history with people. It's like comedy. You repeat comedy. I mean, you've probably taken improv classes. I took improv and at UCB, like everybody else in New York, trying to get discovered. And I asked a guy one time, I said, have you ever repeated anything? No, it's all organic. And as we take the class, he repeated like 5 things.
Now, if
I'm like, so
something works.
No, I go, you got it. You got it in your tool bag. You've always got it in your tool bag. You will always go to those 4 characters because that's money. You can say it's organic. The only thing that's organic is he's in the grocery store or he's in the park bench. That's the only thing different. Right. But you're always going to go to your go-to. Right. Yeah. Right. So it's never. And I think that's where he is with this. I think he sort of has surrounded himself by people again who will never say no, and he will, and there are things that people like doing, and he's not going to tell them no, because they always come in, they got big names, people are going to see them, and it's vice versa, and they help each other out a little bit like that because it is a business. So it's a business.
Bill
How to
Murray
make it
was
lively.
supposed to be in this one. There's another one of his repertoire of actors that
he's gotten like a lot of bad flack about his attitude lately.
Yeah, he couldn't do this for some reason. He was doing something else. So
I think there'd be more. I think it might be more to that because he's gotten a lot of bad press lately about how he's interacting with people. And this is such a varied cast. There might be a worry of, can he accommodate everybody? Because he's a big. I met him once years ago.
Which Bill Murray?
Yeah, I was at work actually during the Groundhog, when the movie Groundhog was happening. I was working at Broadway Video, and because he knew Lorna Michaels, and we were at the edit house, and he came there. That's where he edited his version of it. He edited that night. He came in there like overnight, and he did his edit of Groundhog. Now I was helping him get gear for his room, and he's walked through the halls of Broadway Video whispering Roland, and this guy Mark came up to me, because Roland, why is Bill Murray whispering your name in the hallways? And I walked around like, what's going on? He goes, listen, I need something. Night. And he's like, Roland.
I've got a generic
Roland.
name.
That's all he did. He just went Roland. And I found him like on Broadway Video, just like looking for me. It was very surreal.
That's classic.
But yeah, but as him. But I think there's a better mental, even though he fought with the director then, but I think he's in a better place. But I think there is like some history.
He can be he's had a reputation of,
Yeah.
before what was coming out now with this whole Me Too stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, you heard about Charlie's Angels and how
Yeah,
he
yeah.
along
No, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. If he doesn't like you, he goes at you, and
But
that's it.
like he had a little niche with these, you know,
Yeah.
the Wes Anderson stuff. You know.
Yeah. So, but I think that's probably
Life
why it's a
Aquatic,
big
he was
cast.
really good in that, right?
Yeah. But that was written for him. I think that's also, and that's.
Yeah.
But now let's. Oh God, this guy. I was going to end it, but see, I was going long.
We got a tangent. So.
But that's what I'm saying is that he's writing for the characters he knows can do the character.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
writing for he's writing for Bill Murray. He's writing for,
Jason,
Norton.
Schwartzman.
He's writing for Jason. He's not writing Augie. He's writing Jason.
Yeah.
You know, he's not writing Augie. He's writing Jason. And I think that's why these other characters that he doesn't know were so good. Was the Margot Robbie character? That's a new character to him. Scarlett Johansson character, I've seen that character in the Fox movie, was the wife. Very similar tempo, very similar rhythm and delivery. The Margot Robbie was a new character that he hasn't had in his pool yet. I mean, go watch Bottle Rocket again if you want to see angst.
One, right?
That was his first film, and go see that with the angst and the tempo of monotone. But you felt the nervousness, you felt the failures.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you have these things that you put into your first films that are really from you as the artist,
right?
You know, and in those first few films, it really works, you know.
Yeah.
And now it becomes kind of, you become this caricature of yourself.
You become stale.
You know, I mean, I see it in some of these other, you know, I guess you could say any director, even Martin, you know, Martin Scorsese.
Marty, you call him Marty because you know him. Because you're friends with him. Marty, your buddy Marty, who grew up across the street from Albanese Butcher Shop.
Yes,
just saying. I'm just saying.
But they all have certain things that they dip back into that well because they do it well. They think and they think maybe there's an expectation that people are expecting that from my stuff.
Yeah.
But then after a while, it sort of does become, like, I think, repetitive, or what are you trying to, you know, I don't know.
Sometimes you got to age with it.
I'm just missing it.
I think you got to mature, and I don't mean mature in a level of immaturity.
I still don't understand the play. That's the line that stuck with me.
Right.
I still don't understand the play.
But I think that also could be a diss to people of, like, you'll never get it.
Like me.
Like, you'll never get it. You'll never get it. You know, it's too deep.
It's the kind of story where it's like, you're not supposed to get it. There's little things here and there. He wants to talk about grief and about, you know, the storytelling aspect and movies and theater, and, you know, and doesn't need to have, like, a mainstream storyline. Doesn't need to have mainstream performances. You know, it's this very stylized look. This is how he tells his stories, which is fine. I get it, but maybe this one just wasn't for me there. You know,
coming back to it, I think he wrote it for the actors he knew he was going to get, and he pretty much had an idea of who he was going to cast, and they all agreed, and they got together over some Coppola wine, and they wrote it out on the vineyard somewhere, and I don't know, maybe something happened. There's eye contact, and they said,
I guarantee you they had a blast making this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure they had a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a great set. It's local. Beautiful scenery. Everybody's worked just a couple of days, except the leads. You know, and it's fun like that. And
you wonder if he allows improv in his.
I don't think so. It doesn't feel it.
Strict to, you know, this is how you have to do it. You know.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know. I don't get it.
And even some of these people he brought in,
like, you know, some actors do that maybe.
Well, you have, like, Sophia Lillis. She barely had a line in it. You know, Lee Schreiber, I think, had like a couple of lines in it. I mean, I think a lot of people are just window dressing, and they're just part of the film. Again, that's a peeve of mine. When you write something, you can't have somebody just hold a glass of water. Yeah, you just don't bother, because I'm not going to pick up on it anyway. You know, so why even have them there?
Yeah,
you know, just don't.
An actor. I need somebody to bring something in to move the plot along. So I'm making a character just.
So, and you'll have somebody saying, "I know," and that's how it moves along, because they're like, "Oh, I guess you're here," you know, and that sort of throws me. For sure. For a loop. I don't know. Okay, well, I think we're sort of in an agreement. You know, people watch it. Go watch it. I would not say don't watch it. I think it's interesting. I think he's a talented director. I think he has a lot to offer. But is it my cup of tea? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed parts of it, and that's better than some shitty movies. And I'm not saying this is a shitty movie, but there are movies that I will never watch again, and I'll just get violently angry and I'll leave. Yeah, the room. But this one, I didn't. There are definitely some things. About that I enjoy, but sometimes familiar things are too familiar. And I'll leave it at that. I think that's my takeaway on this. Sometimes familiar things are too familiar, and it doesn't really tell me a story. That makes sense.
And maybe some people discovered Wes Anderson movies from seeing this, and maybe they'll
Yeah.
go back and see
Yeah.
Rush
Go
Hour
with-
and see
Battle Rocket. It's a great
and
movie.
all these
It's a great
others.
movie. Launched the career of the Wilson
Definitely
brothers.
the animated movies. I highly recommend.
Yeah,
Fantastic
there's
Mr.
really good
Fox
stuff.
and,
Yeah, it's a
you know,
great film. The Isle of Dogs, I think, is a very good coming of age film. I thought it was very. I thought he pushed boundaries in that film
Yeah.
that he didn't push in this.
The
I
animation
thought he.
was wonderful.
Yeah, well, I like Isle of Dogs. You ever watch Isle of Dogs?
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
love
it? Yeah.
Isle of Dogs.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's a great film. So I mean, I thought that film pushed a lot of boundaries in
Royal
storytelling.
Tenenbaums was hilarious. You know.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, go watch it. It's what it is. All right, everybody. Well, this is Roland DeRucci and Nick Leshi. This was very low energy today. I don't know why, but it's been a long day. It's the weather. It's New York
Long
City.
day.
It's hot,
But
and no one wants to deal with it. But we like watching
I hope
movies.
we brought our levels, though.
Yeah.
I hope we did have levels, and it wasn't just a monotone.
Monotone, yeah. I think we were playing
More
homage
energy.
to his film of just being monotone. No, I thought we brought stuff. We brought a little bit more passion than some of the characters. I think we did, and we made, I think, good arguments. So thank you, Nick, for joining me. Thank you, audience members, for joining me. And this is Ready Speaker, Roland DeRucci, your host. Come on back. Hopefully, I didn't speak too fast. I get that note all the time that I speak way too fast, but hopefully, I didn't speak too fast this time. All right, bye, everybody.